And we are live as the church bells from beautiful Barrio Los Angeles, Costa Rica ring and chime in that new hour. We too here at Market Conversation start our regular Friday night live stream. Welcome everybody, and especially Bill, nice to see you. Glad you're here. Let's see here for my little quote unquote monologue. I just have got to tell you, I've had a heck of a week. This has been an incredible week for me personally, as far as my learning, as far as my engagement with the greater community around me. I want to thank each and every one of you that have been leaving comments in the videos that I've been producing, as well as reaching out to me through the link in the video to set up a conversation, whether it be just to spitball some investment ideas or actually roll up our sleeves and look at a real investment strategy that's going to help you optimize your investment goals. So thank you for the engagement. It's been incredible. I've got, let's see, I had the good fortune of releasing some really good content this week. Interviews with Anthony Pompliano and the Wolf of All Streets. Was able to get my Tax Bit Beyond Moon video put out. What an incredible endeavor that is. I never thought I'd be interested to learn and understand taxes. And I'm still not really that into taxes. But what I've found is this way to interact with a platform that's going to organize my taxes so that I can leverage what I do to serve me the best way when it comes to settling with the tax man. And at the end of the day, it's not always how much you make, it's how much you keep. And that's where taxes come in and understanding what's going on. I want to say hello to Bill and P. Kelly. Thanks, guys, for coming in. I see that the lobby is filling up. Only a couple of people have put in their chats. Tonight, I got some great community members coming on the show. But this first member is it's what started this whole friggin' thing. That's right. In studio, Bitcoin. Let's welcome Bitcoin to the show. Come on in, Bitcoin. How are you?
Jerry, good to be here. Good to be here.
Mr.
Full transparency. I thought this was the Jerry Rice Fantasy Football Podcast, a tiny and forgivable mix-up made by an incompetent agent. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'll tell you, I am honored to be the first podcast that's actually hosting Bitcoin, a real-time conversation with Bitcoin. Where are you broadcasting from tonight?
I'm at a quaint little Chinese club opening. It's a former apartment complex I had bulldozed and rebuilt, but yeah, should be nice. Nice little get-together.
Now, is what country is this little endeavor located?
I am currently in Beijing.
So you're staying close to where the mining and the security and all that incredible infrastructure for you comes from.
I mean, it's always smart to work closest to home.
I understand. I got it. So I'm curious, with you coming out and actually participating in a video product, are you just choosing to remain anonymous, or, I mean, it seems like you want to come out. So what's the story with the
No, not at all. I've been told I look a lot like Craig Wright, and I don't want to give that quack any more ammo to impersonate me with, so.
That's excellent. Right on. So I would not be doing the journalist community any favors if I didn't ask you, can we spend a few minutes talking about some of the quote unquote hard questions about yourself?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So one of the biggest concerns that I hear about in the community as it pertains to Bitcoin is the cost to keep your security where it needs to be. Why is it so costly to keep you going?
You pay for a prime product, you're going to pay a prime price.
Well, I mean, is there any concern that products that have the same security as you but can do the job for much less, let's say a digital asset like XRP, are you concerned at all for any of those kind of competitors?
I've met XRP. I saw this guy at a conference last year. This guy's a total nerd. He wears suits with pocket protectors. Apparently, he's trying to steal my throne. I say, bring it on. I mean, it's not like they have an army or anything.
Okay. So you pay for quality is the answer to the cost. How about this? What was your thinking as you were coming into existence around taking so long to do so few transactions?
Scalability or just time? Energy? Where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with why, 60 transactions a minute max.
Look, I can scale. I can scale enough. I scale like a boa constrictor. And if it's not enough yet, then good thing we got this Lightning Network coming out. That should help things. It'll make things right.
Okay. All right. So it's you were thinking, well, if you're not good enough as is, then somebody can build something to make me better.
Hey, that's the benefit of being on top. You can pay people to do stuff for you.
Right on. Okay, last question. Last question is, do you have any intentions of seeking the crown of global reserve currency?
I mean, the people are going to decide. I'm on top. No one has matched me yet. I'm the champ. I'm Muhammad Ali. So, hey, if you want the throne, come and take it.
Right on. Folks, let me take a second to welcome to the show one of my favorites in the community, Mr. BZ Comedy. Come on in, BZ.
What's up?
Oh, man, it's good to have you on the show, man. I really enjoyed that you ran shotgun for me one night. I don't know if it was my opening night for this stream, but it was something like that. It was really early days when Brady and I were just kicking this thing off. And to have you come back and share some time with me, I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. You got your family, you got your work, you got your crypto investing.
I always make time for fun. It doesn't matter. I love it. Your channel's great. Who cares? I'll reprioritize other stuff.
All right. Well, if you haven't seen BZ's YouTube channel, it's BZ Comedy Channel, and he's got some of his stand-up bits on there. Very funny guy. I want to take a second. I want to welcome Intelligent XRP. Nice to have you. We had an incredible conversation today. I'll be releasing that Beyond Moon Investor Series with Intelligent XRP next week. Hello, Brian. Hello, Mr. X, XRP 1%er. And of course, I already mentioned P. Kelly and Bill Gould. There's others in the stream. They're just not participating in the chat. Totally okay. Tonight, let's spend a couple minutes going over what do you think's going on with this kind of up and down undulation weirdness between financial capital markets and the crypto markets over the last week, 2 weeks, whatever you want to call it?
I have no idea. I honestly don't. It's weird. People can speculate all they want. I mean, I have no theory to it right now. I'm kind of just riding it out.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I was one of the guys that when the corona hit and it was very obvious that there was a lockdown, which is going to put a shock in the demand side of small businesses, the consumption of things, the manufacturing of things, things that drive economies.
Yeah.
So if the supply chain gets disrupted and the demand for those things also gets disrupted, which we had a demand shock and a supply shock when everybody went into global shutdown, one would think that would be lots of revenue and income for businesses. And even, it would just have this chain reaction. Things would get worse and worse and worse. And it's been interesting to me. Hi, Ray. It's been interesting to me to see that other than that 1 week in March where the stock market and the crypto market in unison took a big fat dumper-rooney.
Yeah.
When we got back into April, it was like, no big deal. Let's just keep buying these assets.
And I'll always have that frame of mind too. I mean, we're developing calluses at this point.
So you're just getting numb.
It just doesn't matter how low it goes. How many family members call me and go, "Hey, what's the deal with XRP's price?" Sell it if you don't want it. Sell it. If you can't wait, then sell it. You obviously, you're not looking at the big picture here. So, yeah. I'll wait.
Believe me, I understand frustration in the markets if you're thinking that if the response to this global economic shock, which was COVID, would be that governments all around the world would need to stimulate economies by creating currency and putting it into the system, right? Giving people money,
right?
Giving businesses money.
Print.
You would naturally think, from what we learned about economics in high school, junior college, and college, that the introduction of more capital or more money supply would create
liquidity,
right?
Yeah.
Liquidity would create inflation. And we've seen exactly the opposite. We're seeing deflationary effects. It's really,
that just makes me feel like something like the big tidal wave is really cresting.
There's definitely some energy building. Now, we did see gold go up.
Yeah.
And we did see cryptocurrencies inching up because people were thinking that exact thing. Gold and cryptocurrencies, from an economic global view, are literally the same asset. They are the hedge or the anti-inflationary asset that you want, because they're deflationary assets. So if your dollar is losing purchasing power, you want to get into an asset that is not going to lose its purchasing power. Hence, gold and crypto have the same dynamics because of fixed supply or extremely limited supply.
Yeah.
But none of those things are coming to fruition. And it's like, it's kind of hard to figure out, because I have a little deeper macro view of this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you've got, from a demographic standpoint, you've got the largest, wealthiest segment of our population, which is the baby boomers. They're the ones that have most of the real assets. The real wealth is in the baby boomer generation. They're retiring at record numbers. You would think that if they're retiring, they're changing their spending, the way they allocate resources. They're no longer in investment mode. They're going to be in I want to capture returns from my
investment. No longer contributing. They're starting to.
They're taking exactly.
Now. Yeah.
So that's a demographic thing. Then I look at, and I found some data on this. It was really interesting, and maybe you can help substantiate this, because this is right in your wheelhouse with your demographic, and that is people your age are making less than the baby boomers made at your age. So in other words, a baby boomer, when they were in their mid-30s, like you are, were making
work one job and buy a house and raise your family. Yeah. Now you need two jobs or a 2-income household. Yeah.
Yeah, and you need your kid
for the most part
to have an under the table job so they can get some cash into the house. And so you look at these figures and you're thinking, okay, the next largest generation is the millennials, and they're getting into their quote unquote prime earning years. You get over 30s. That's when you're supposed to start hitting your peak earnings all the way up into your 40s, right?
Right.
Well, relative to previous generations, the wages haven't increased. I mean, unless you're in such a high demand industry, obviously, like a David Schwartz kind of guy is high sought out. He's going to be a couple $100,000 a year guy,
yeah,
regardless of the economy. But for the most part, your truck drivers, your carpenters, your normal out there working people,
yeah,
their wages aren't going up.
And they're battling the inflation too.
That's the point. They're losing ground. And so you would that all these things contributed when you start adding it all together. This is the perfect environment for gold and crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Yet gold's not at $4,000 an ounce. I mean, it barely got over 2,000 before it dropped. Cryptocurrency market cap knocked on the door of 400 billion, and then immediately within a couple of days started retracing itself back towards 300 billion. It's staggering to me. Let's go to the chat and see what some of the folks in the stream are saying. I'm going to throw this at you here, BZ. This is Bill Gould. What do you think?
I think it's stagnant because no regulation. Well, I mean, yeah, regulations are. Doesn't that feel like that's what everyone's waiting for?
That's a hot topic for me.
It's like every video. Regulation.
Regulation. Okay, so I got a question for all those regulation people. If it truly was regulation that is holding back, why or how did MoneyGram and Bitstamp turn U.S. citizens, U.S. dollars into XRP and send them to Bitstamp in Mexico? How did that happen if you need regulation for these things? Somebody answer that question for me.
All right, that disproves that for me.
Well, I think it's hard to just paint one broad stroke statement and say this is the reason.
Right.
That's my point.
It's a pretty interesting question, though. I haven't thought about that.
Well, it's one I have not had answered yet. It makes no sense to me that here's this digital asset, XRP, fast, cheap, blah, blah, blah. Here's a company, MoneyGram, that's all they do is take this person's money and send it to that person somewhere else in the world. That's their business.
Yeah.
And here they're getting a Ripple investment because you got to grease the wheels. I get it. I totally get that. But then they start doing it. Well, if it truly is such a cost-saving enterprise and you are doing it, why would you slow down and decrease your volume and not increase it? Because wouldn't increased volume equal
more savings? Yeah.
Increased savings, i.e. increased profits? There's a piece of the puzzle we're not being told about. And that's my point. You know what I mean? So when I hear all this stuff, I ask questions, and there are questions I'm not getting answered. Does that mean I'm down on XRP? No. Does that mean I'm down on Ripple and RippleNet? No. But I'm also, what I'm trying to do is train myself to ask questions that a smart investor would ask, not a blind hopium fanboy.
Right.
Regulations are needed for the big money to come in.
Sometimes I feel like Linus waiting.
Brady is either such a genius that he can read these things, understand what they say, come up with an answer, and then move on, or he's just too fast. Okay, not going to lie. Sometimes I feel like Linus waiting for the great pumpkin, but I do believe, and I'm playing around with other coins. Exactly, Mike. I believe too. I think we just should all be very realistic that there are components in this mechanism that we don't know about. They're not being shared with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have to be willing to say, you know what, at some point, maybe we missed the boat. I don't believe we had yet. I don't think it's too late for XRP. There are people that I hear saying this. I don't believe that's true. I do believe, though, that if we're not critical thinkers as investors, that we're subject to have the market bend us over with no Vaseline. How's that?
Oh, yeah.
And we need to be smart. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much, Mr. X. Focus, kids, focus. Open your mind. And I want to thank Mr. X for opening his wallet. $20 super chat. Okay. Oh, Mr. X, thank you. All right, here we go. Doodler, welcome to the show. What happened? Doodler, I went on kind of an no, I didn't. I kind of went on I am questioning authority rant about XRP. I'm not buying this whole we need regulation bullshit. I'm just not buying it. There's something else going on. It's not being discussed. It's not open and part of their public dialogue. They don't owe me anything. They don't. But I'm questioning, what is the holdup? If it is so fast and so cheap, and MoneyGram was able to use it in 2019 without any regulation, why aren't they using it more? If it is such a cost savings, why isn't its volume being increased? If it truly does save them money. Regulations are the next evolutionary step for legitimizing crypto. Okay, I don't know what more regulations need. The OCC comes out with a letter and says every single nationally licensed bank in this country
is using.
We've clarified you can custody it, means you can hold it. You can sell it to your customers. You can hold it and lend it.
Now, what am I missing?
I don't. The regulation argument doesn't hold any water with me.
Some kind of world event?
Well, fear on the part of the institutions dealing with something they're not familiar with. That I understand. And we do know there are big players coming into the market. And I think it's very important for all of us to understand that it is not going to be BZ and myself and all you folks in the chat that move this market going forward. It's at over 200 billion, it's too large for us to move it, really. So it will be the investment grade money, and I'm talking about the multi-million dollars, the hundreds of millions of dollars invested into this or positions in that are going to be what really start to take this market forward. So people are talking to me about, Jerry, the Flare network and the Spark token is going to create so much buzz around XRP. People are going to want to buy XRP so they can get their Spark token. I don't disagree with that. I think that's
It has done that. Yeah.
Right. That comes from a behavioral economics model. I support that. Will it be enough to move the markets? Not in my opinion. Market's too big. We're going to need monster money. And monster money doesn't come from me and BZ, even though, we wish we could, but we can't.
I wish.
Money comes from BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it or not, that's the truth. And we're not in the boat alone. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the big players. And that's why small caps are getting volume. That's why a company with a product like Chainlink can have such a run that it had. Because it was such a small market cap that retail investors could drive the market.
And while I'm waiting for XRP, I'm looking at those. That money's not going anywhere. I'm looking for those little price risers in the meantime that I can throw into XRP.
Well, I'll tell you what, who's got a great channel every day during the day? Crypto and Coffee, Nick Black, goes over tokens and, now, like him or dislike him. I happen to really like Nick. But I can see he can be abrasive. So I could see where
I like that.
Oh, you like abrasive?
Yeah, I like
that. Nick will tell you about stuff because he's an avid researcher. He really is looking at these things. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks. We see all this weirdness with the DeFi bullshit. It's like ICO World 2.0. Absolutely crazy shit. Well, okay. Can you see this comment by XRP 1%er?
I thought ODL slowed down not because of regulations, but because of liquidity. No market makers. Well, yeah.
Okay, so if there was a market maker, which there was, and there was volume, which there was, is the market making broken? Is the reason they don't have liquidity is because the system that they were using, financial institution, which is MoneyGram, sending money to Bitstamp taking XRP and sending it to Bitso taking XRP, turning it into Mexican peso. They weren't making any money in the transactions. Because if they were, and they were doing thousands of transactions a week, they would be making money. They would be increasing they wouldn't take every cent of profit. If you're doing one transaction and you make $1, you take 20 cents and you put 80 cents back into the pool to increase your liquidity pool. And you have a roadmap to capture more and more of that profit as time goes by. But you always reinvest so your pool can get bigger so you can do more volume.
Yeah.
That's basic business 101. Doesn't matter if you're a guy that's painting houses or, whatever your business is, if it deals with something, whether it be paint or tires or nails or whatever, you always invest a little bit of money back into the company so you can increase your capacity to do more at a lower cost. It's simple business shit. So I'm not buying that.
You're not buying the lack of liquidity?
I'm not buying that lack of liquidity BS. There was plenty of liquidity. Liquidity begets liquidity. So if there was enough liquidity to start, and the model that they sold the world faster, cheaper than the existing way to do things, then the only logical answer is, if that is true, then you increase your volumes over time, not decrease.
How long over time?
However long it takes.
Yeah.
But there was a good, I'd say, what would you say, 14 months? October 2018 through, I don't even remember, somewhere around February, March of this year, right? Is when the ODL volumes.
Oh, when it started dipping?
Yeah. Dakota Shipley, check your Twitter DM, please, sir. Yeah. Was it around there?
I think it's February.
Okay, February, right before the big Corona poo-poo.
Yep.
Okay. So that's 15 months. 15 months that ODL thing was rolling. And we did see an increase. And then we saw it take a shit. Well, I heard people explain the reason why. Ripple was supplementing that market with their market making fee that they were paying, client participation fee. All right, I get to get things going, you do that. But if there's a disconnect, there's dislocation in performance versus stated ability. And it's not being answered. That's my whole point.
It should still be increasing.
I agree. I 100.
It should still be increasing, yeah. Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir, bro. What else do we got here? I don't want to. I drove that into the ground. Beat that horse into the ground. Everybody in the world knows exactly where I stand with that. It was my understanding that once Ripple stopped incentivizing the use of ASU, that MoneyGram slowed. No, that's exactly what happened, Bill. The second Ripple said, "Okay, we're gonna be pulling our incentivification dollars," MoneyGram went, "Oh, well, fuck." MoneyGram had 15, 16 months to build up
to get the ball rolling, yeah.
To get the goddamn ball rolling. Now, even if they did, let's say MoneyGram didn't get the their shit together. If BZ walks in with his $26 into a MoneyGram office in California where you are, and you've got a friend who needs it in the Tijuana jail, and you're going to send it, you want MoneyGram to turn it into XRP through Bitstamp, well, they'll take your $26, right? Tell you your friend will get 20 of it, pay their fees, buy the XRP, Bitstamp sends it, Bitso changes it, takes their little piece of the pie and sends it to the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. None of this
if it gets there.
None of this is making any sense to me. But again, I don't want to keep belaboring this. It's not fun. It's not a happy.
It's maddening because you're missing one little chunk. There's something there that.
Yeah. And we have a lot of talking heads speculating about it. I'm not going to speculate about it. I'm just going to call it out. I see a dislocation in what I was told this could do, functionality, what I read from functionality, and what I saw in performance. Going to leave it at that and move on to the next thing. You know, I'll tell you, are you into Cardano by any chance?
Yes, I am.
All right. Are you staking? Yeah. Are you staking?
Well, I got it on Binance. So.
Oh, you kept your Cardano on an exchange. Does Binance US?
No, not. I mean, recently I bought. So.
Oh,
I haven't been keeping it there. I haven't transferred it anywhere yet, but yeah.
You're brand new into Cardano.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when Shelly Mainnet went live, I got the updated wallet. Now we're at Daedalus 2.20. I've been staking for a while now, and my wallets are growing.
Nice.
Yes.
Passive income is the best.
I am just an absolute passive income fanboy.
I've been getting that Tezos, that's for sure.
So you're staking. So you're already okay. So let me ask you this: as an investor, do you have a different mindset from your passive, your proof of stake investments versus your capital appreciation only investments?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd rather earn. I just want to earn. So I'll take whatever. I'll buy whatever use case cryptos right now that are relatively low priced that will give me something back as an incentive. I'm not. If I truly believe in the long runs, like the XRPs and everything like that, I mean, I'll put whatever it is I decide to put in there, trickle in when I can, and that's just gone for me until it does something. But in the meantime, I want to earn. Like, as far as the difference, I think you could pay off bigger. Yeah.
Do cartels take XRP? Mike, I don't think cartels.
Not
yet. This whole well, they're kind of they're tepid around this whole KYC thing.
Well, that can be tracked, right? They're going to use cash as long as possible.
You bet. You know, so I was covered the staking thing. Oh, haven't released this yet. I had an incredible hour interview with the first woman first woman staking pool operator for Cardano.
Really?
Now check this out, and I'll release it sometime next week.
Is it not out yet?
No. I haven't even.
Okay. I was going to go check it out right after.
Guess who she works for?
Who?
Her day job. Accenture.
Really? That's hilarious. You know, my cousin, one of the people who got me into XRP, worked for Accenture as an executive. And our last baby shower we were at, he's showing me the partners list. And there's Ripple right on there. That must have been 2 years ago. I was like, oh, wow. But that's awesome. She works for Accenture.
So we're in the interview. Now, I know she works for Accenture because I just know she does. So we're going, it's Cardano, staking, women, big fan of women. I'm a big fan of staking. He's like, I love all this stuff. Okay, so you work for Accenture. I'm also a big fan of XRP. and Ripple is a partner of yours. Can we spend a few minutes talking about that? And she went from this happy, giddy woman in blockchain, Cardano staking pool operator to
poker face.
NDAs. I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to discuss.
Yep.
I went, whoa, that's some shit. Because I was, trying to sneak one in there, just kind of casually
under the radar.
How's your fantasy draft? And by the way, what are you doing at Accenture with Ripple? No.
Did you ask her if she invested though?
She would not. It went completely. You could hear the tires screeching in the background. So I said, got it. Let's continue our conversation about women because I love, it's one of my favorite topics.
Damn.
Women in blockchain.
So close.
Yeah, no kidding. So, okay, I'm looking at the clock. Oh, one of the things I wanted to tell everybody, a lot of you, everybody in the stream has been a returning guest, so to speak. You guys obviously remember Beta Avenue. She's been on the show at the end of the show a couple times. Always had some great questions. Bita is going to bring a segment to the show at the end or towards the end of every show. Bita is going to come in and we're going to have investor questions segment. And I thought that would be really, really cool. Because she brings this energy, this diversity to the table that I just can't do on my own. I mean, what were your thoughts when you first saw Bita on the show?
I haven't seen her yet.
I know that we talked about that off camera. You were supposed to lie. Remember, you were going.
I mean, she's great, awesome, quality person. No, I don't doubt those things are true. I'm just saying.
No, they are. So, hey, I've talked and talked and talked. Fill us in. What have you been doing? What have you been seeing? What have you been thinking about?
I'm thinking it just feels like we're close to something happening, something big in this field. Things are palpable. Everything politically, everything energy-wise. I don't know. It just feels like a lot of ducks are in a row, and we're positioned well for whenever happens. But I'll be there. I told myself at the very beginning, I don't care how long it takes, 10 years, whatever. This is a clear use case, and let's ride it till the wheels fall off. So let's see what the hell happens. In the meantime, I'll invest in cool new things. Anything that's staking, that's awesome. I love it. I get excited when I get that notification. I'm like, oh, great. Anything that's cheap, like sub a penny, is awesome. You find something with a use case, maybe a couple partners look into it. Sometimes they look good, and you could just throw $100 at it or something. But yeah.
What do you think about Vet? That meets that profile.
Oh, I'm definitely a Vet.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, I think I finally started to take notice after the BMW partnership and like Adidas or one of those. Oh, it's BMW. And then I looked at it and it's like so cheap. I'm like, what the hell? Why not? But they seem to be progressing, so that's a good sign. Just updates to it, and hopefully that works out, because that was a real cheap buy-in. I think I got in at like 0.008 cents or something like that. That's can't beat that.
Yeah, there is I could not agree with you. There is an underlying energy. There really is. The market prices, the way the markets are working, whether you're on NASDAQ, the Dow, or looking at the crypto space. I've been listening a lot to Real Vision.
Yeah.
Vision Finance. And these are guys that have spent their entire career in the equities markets, the commodities markets, the precious metal markets, the bond markets. That's how they've amassed their wealth for the last 30 years.
Right.
And they're coming on and they're talking about how they do what they do. Well, this whole topic of crypto so I've been in crypto, 2.5 years. This last 6-7 months, the amount of time that it's getting mentioned or different guests are talking about it, or they're producing content around crypto, is just exploded exponentially.
Yeah.
And what that tells me is that the guys that are on the phone with the family offices, the hedge funds, the pension plans, they're not talking about dominoes. They're talking about what are the investments of the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Bonds have dried up. Bond investing is such a minuscule return on your investment. Even in the trading of the bonds, I'm not talking about buying a bond and holding it to maturity. I'm talking about the trading of it. These margins have really come down. So debt is a scary thing right now because it's so massive and so out of control. And the risk you're taking getting involved with the debt market isn't being rewarded in the form of return on your investment. So these guys are looking around. You know, do they put their money in a stock market that's overvalued and inflated? Do they put their money in gold? Well, gold doesn't really have a huge upside. It has a preservation of value. That's what gold does. It preserves value. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go up 500 times.
Just a hedge.
It's a hedge. Crypto, on the other hand, our tiny little digital asset space,
little invisible coins,
is getting more and more traction on these phone calls. You get the OCC letter. You get, boom, 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 boom. I think if it's going to happen, if we're going to see that POW, we'll see it by June of next year. It'll either will or it won't. If it doesn't, then strap in and hold on. There won't be any, just wait till August. Just wait till September. If it's not jumping off by June of next year, people need to seriously reevaluate their portfolios.
It's also weird to see, just for me personally, I'm keeping an eye on just the entire environment of crypto and how it's progressing slowly, quietly to the side while everyone's looking over here at politics and all this race issue stuff and everything. And meanwhile, over here, everything's getting passed. You know, no one even, barely heard anyone even talk about the fact that banks could, I thought that would be huge news. The fact that banks can custody crypto. I thought that would be fully mainstream aside from, a few segments here and there, but it's weird. It just seems like it's progressing quietly over here while everyone's distracted over there, and it's tripping me out because a lot has happened. We still have a ways to go, but
right. No, that true story. I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking in the green room. I'm seeing the last little chewing of a snack go down. I want to welcome on camera our new weekly contributor to our segment that we're going to call Investor Questions. Everybody, let's welcome Bitrue Avenue. Hey, Bitrue.
Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Oh,
hi,
man.
Nice to meet you.
Bitrue,
nice to meet you.
Comedy Channel.
What is it?
His name is BZ, and he has a YouTube channel. He's a comedian and a friend of mine.
Oh, okay, great. You said he has a YouTube channel?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to follow.
It's called BZ Comedy Channel.
Okay, sounds good.
He doesn't do much anymore, lazy bastard.
What? I'm lazy. I run all the time.
Again.
I know you're right.
There's no clubs open. What are you going to do?
I'm talking about
tell jokes in a mask?
That would be funny.
If you did a whole set where no one could understand a whole word you said, that might actually be hilarious.
Well, maybe 2 minutes, I think it would be great. Real quick. Hey, Lance, welcome to the show. Lance, reach out to me on Facebook. I couldn't find you on Facebook, and I know we connected. So, Lance, on Facebook, reach out to me in a private message. I need to talk to you. Okay. Bitrue, it's your segment, lady. We're just here. This is your show now. Take it away.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch too much of the actual live, so I would have to go back and rewatch it. But the question that I had when it came down to like the economy and how people can start participating in the economy is when you get on these exchanges to be able to buy crypto, you still need a bank account. So, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if there's another way maybe you guys can tell me about, because there's a lot of people that still don't have
Not
bank
that I've
account
seen.
and banked. So how is it that people that don't have those access are able to participate in the crypto market?
Okay, well, it's actually pretty easy.
Okay.
But keep in mind, the different entry points have different fees and costs associated to them. So if you do not have a bank account or access to a debit card, there are crypto ATMs that you can put cash into that will give you that will print out, literally print out a piece of paper with the private keys to the crypto that you're purchasing.
All right. Okay.
It's called a paper wallet.
Oh, okay. That's what a paper wallet is. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen any of those? I've never seen
Never.
any of those.
I've never seen one.
Personally have seen one or two. We have two in Costa Rica.
Huh.
But you pay, I mean, you're paying 8-9%.
Wow. More than a regular ATM.
Oh my God, it's expensive. Well, to you and me, it's expensive who have an exchange where we're used to paying about 1.4%.
Yeah.
But
9%
if it's only access you have, then maybe it's not.
Yeah, and then the other question I had was, I'm curious, when people like us are like learning about all these different pre-IPOs and especially like stuff that you can buy on LinkedIn and things like that, you still can't buy it unless you're an accredited investor. So that is still leaving a lot of people out of the market or out of being able to buy all these great projects that they know about. So do you know what the reason is that you have to be an accredited investor in order for you to invest in these companies, even though you're very well aware of the risk?
Yes. Okay. So our stock market in the United States came about in the 1800s. Okay. Now through the because it was the stock market was brought to the United States with the colonists after we got our shit together. It was just modeled after what they were already doing in Europe. Okay, so they said, okay, businesses are able to get investors, sell pieces of their business to get investment so that they could do what they were going to do. That model got brought here. Stock market was created. Now, what they found were a lot of people got suckered. They put their money into something, got a piece of paper, went and checked on it, went and found that it was worthless, wasn't worth the paper it was written on. And then they go, we pay taxes, you're supposed to protect us. Now regulation comes in, we're going to protect our citizens. You need to prove that you are sophisticated enough with these things to be able to participate. And then they crafted their rule around accredited investors. Now, that happened and was created a long time ago. It's been law for a long time. They are in the process of changing it. As a matter of fact, just this month, or at the very end of August, one of the two, the SEC put out their thoughts around the modifications to what they call the accredited investor standard. Okay. And so people, you might not have $1 million of net worth or a house that's worth $1 million, but maybe you do have a licensed financial planner certificate or license number.
Even just do it like some sort of knowledge test. Like, why does it have to be, if somebody is trying to become financially stable, is because they don't quite have the money yet. So why is it only around money? Like, why can't it be just like education level, where if you're, have this amount of knowledge or pass a certain kind of test, or you know what I mean, where you can get into this system and show that what you're invested in, what function it serves, what utility it has. Like, if you are able to, like, for every company, if you're able to prove you're what you're getting involved in, yes, get certified. And I think that should be enough, instead of it being a financial requirement, because then that leaves a lot of people out.
Here's the thing. I don't think you'll ever see a test created for instance, just use Ripple as an example. Okay, here's Ripple. Company's going to go IPO. You want to invest in it ahead of time, like accredited investor. You're not accredited, so you go take the Ripple IPO test to show you know enough about Ripple to be able to put your hard-earned dollars into it.
Right.
Way too much work. You'll never see a government do a case by case like that. All right.
Well,
will they possibly
start a company that can do that?
Hang on. That's possible. But then you got to have the government trust that company.
Right. Hey, it can be, anything is possible in this crypto world.
I'm not saying it isn't possible. I'm saying that there are barriers for that to happen.
Definitely,
I honestly believe that at some point they're going to have mechanisms in place where you can take a test that'll cover that whole enchilada. One test, you'll pay a fee for it, just like you pay a fee to take a driver's test and get a driver's license. They may even try to monetize it where you have to get it renewed. It's not like you take it once. Maybe every 3 years you got to go pay another $1,000 to take the test again. Who knows?
It would be nice because it gives people a chance that are paying attention. It's like a reward for people that are paying attention. So I think it would be great. Somebody
it's still so new still though. Right. They'll work this stuff. Isn't it like $10,000 right now or something? The minimum buy-in? Is it something like that?
Are you talking about what's the stuff that's available on platforms like Link2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Yeah. Everyday investors aren't going to get on that.
Right. Somebody had posted a question earlier if I had gotten into crypto yet. I do have quite I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 of them that I've hold on to. Yes, I did. I bought, actually I've been buying since a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I started with XRP actually, and then XLM and on now. So
what are the other?
I have XLM, XRP, ADA, VET, and I just got Algo.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're like one of the cool kids.
I'm trying to figure out the whole staking thing.
Well, how can I help you? I'm a staking master. They should call me Steak.
I'm trying to get into it and I don't know enough about it. I've been doing some research and seeing what pools you have to go into, like to get, staking. Yesterday we were talking about the Atomic Wallet and all that stuff. So I'm still pretty new at all of it. So I'll have to schedule a time to have that conversation with you because I'm new at it that it's going to take a lot more than 10 minutes.
Rewards or epochs are every 5 days for Cardano. So that's your window, 5 days.
Okay. What does that mean?
that means the rewards are a start and an end time for accumulating rewards or every 5 days. So the window opens, 5 days, the window close. And then they open a new window.
Okay.
5 days, window close. Open a new window. 5 days, window close.
Do you have to keep doing something every 5 days? Meaning like you have to keep putting it in there, or like how does that work?
Just hold it.
It is. How about you purchase your asset, you put it in the wallet, You tell the wallet which stake pool you want to pledge your tokens to. This is your wallet in your control. You tell your wallet which stake pool you want to put it into. You press the delegate stake button. It gets delegated to that pool. You go back to learning. You do nothing. You come back in 15 days after you go through the full cycle of stuff. You see more tokens in your wallet than you had before. And then every 5 days after that, you're going to see more tokens and more tokens. There was a bit. It was a comedy bit on a show called In Living Color. And Keenan, was it Keenan Ivory Wayans? No. The other Wayne's brother. No, the younger one.
Marlon?
Mo money. Mo money.
That's where you got that from.
So can I ask you sorry, it's like hay fever moment, and I don't have hay fever.
Bless you.
There's something that's been on my mind heavily this week, because I can't turn on Twitter without seeing people fighting in the streets. These little video clips of people fighting in the streets, or a video clip of a policeman batoning somebody, or somebody talking about one of these events. There's so much unrest. So I'm curious, in your circle of people that you talk to, what do you think are solutions to the social unrest that so many of the folks in your age bracket and younger are actively involved in?
Well, it's a pretty sensitive issue.
Right.
And so it's I was not born here. I came after 8th grade. I'm from Ethiopia originally. So I look at things a little different as an outsider because I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here. But as an outsider, I see how different things are. And it affects me in a way where my friends who are also from my country, when they're guys, they get treated way different and get handled way different on a regular basis. Until people find out we're from Ethiopia, it's like all of a sudden now we're this exotic people, like, oh, now people want to know where we're from. And now we're not threatening anymore. You know what I mean? Even, in college, the way people treat me when they think I'm African American is different than when people find out when I'm African. Very different.
Okay.
Very, very different. Which is really shocking because it's like, to me, I'm still the same person. I'm still a very soft-spoken kind of just, this is my personality all the time. So when people treat me, before I open my mouth, thinking I'm African American, and then when they find out that I am, they soften up and they're more open and they ask questions. It hurts because it's like other people don't have a chance to do that. And it affects you in every level because I worry about when I go out with my friends, I worry about if they get in a fight and police get called, the treatment is not the same because this happened to my friends before where they got, treated really badly just because people assumed they were rough, but they're just tall black guys, people feel very threatened by them. So when it's your everyday reality, it's different. And it's more sensitive to you because it's happening to the people you are around. But I have a lot of white friends because I work in construction, and a lot of the people I'm around are white male that are in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And because the way when we hang out, the way they get treated is completely different than how my black friends get treated or how my African friends get treated. So it affects you on a regular basis. And it's, I don't know, I don't see it as much because of like the area I'm in. But when I do travel and, or when I'm in the city and we're out with friends, like it really is there. So, you can't, unfortunately for the rest of the American society, it's like something new and shocking, but for people like like me, like we see it on a regular basis. So it's like it's something you have to deal with on a regular basis, and nobody wants to acknowledge it. And people want to treat, if when somebody says, "Oh, I got treated this way," they think you're just complaining, or oh, you're just, you just think this way, but that's really people's reality. So fortunately for me, being female and being small, and people knowing like I'm from a different country, or like I'm not from here, I don't get treated badly, or people are not rough with me because I'm small too. So I'm blessed in that way. But at the same time, if I was a guy, I know that would not be my fate. So
interesting. So, quick history lesson on me. I was born in 1965 in Pomona, California, in an all-black neighborhood. Lived in an all-black neighborhood till I was 7.5 years old. The only white people I had ever seen was my mother, my father, my grandparents. Everybody else at church was black. All my neighbors were black, and that was just my experience. So I had racism from the other side. I was the minority. I was the odd entity of the kids in my neighborhood, and I remember how it felt to get picked on and called names and treated different than the other kids. I didn't like it. Long story short, we come to now. I have a thesis, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I honestly believe that at the core of most of the tension and strife that is in our country it's magnified by a economic element, income inequality, the difference between the rich white people and the poor everybody else people, white and poor, black, yellow, green, minorities, da 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 da. And so what I was thinking is, how can we solve this problem? Because it's not enough to just say Black Lives Matter. It's not enough to kneel during a national anthem. That isn't changing anything. It's drawing attention. Drawing attention is important. The only thing that creates change is action. You've got to take action. I don't think beating people up in the streets is the proper action. White or black, it does. I just don't think that is a real solution. So what I started thinking is, how can we as investors bring about change? Well, if we share what we're learning about investing, principles, economics, bring that information to the people that aren't getting it in schools. None of us got it in schools. None of them are going to get it in schools. So if we bring this information and give everybody an opportunity for economic upward mobility, then a lot of the tension will go away, because it's very, very rare that you will find a very wealthy person get upset about shit.
Yeah, I mean, those are the type of conversations that we have within like our circle. Like I said, I think for the most part, it's the rich. I completely agree with you. It's the rich against the poor, or the middle class, or whatever like class you want to give it. It's really the haves against the have-nots. And I also believe that when you have the have-nots, since they're a majority, you have to be able to divide them in certain groups in order for them not to figure out what's going on, because they're so busy figuring out other stuff. When you're on survival mode, you don't get to thrive, and you don't get to figure out, how do I learn to invest? Because you're trying to figure out, how am I going to pay my rent? So I don't some of it is not like a black and white thing, because a white kid that grew up in a black neighborhood is just it gets counted as the same as a black person, because they're going through the same situation as a black person. So, I mean, they have so many different situations. Like I said, as an outsider, as somebody that came from a different country, I look at it in a completely different way than somebody that was born here and that's so used to what's going on. And when I say sometimes the bad treatment that you get is not all from like one group or another. Even the people that, are from my country and born here, if they grew up in a certain area, they're not the same. They don't have the same experience as I do, as somebody that came in like after 8th grade, because of the way I talk and how calm I am. Like, just there's times when you can be from the same country and the same background, but depending on when you came and what neighborhood you grew up in, you have a different experience in life. So, I mean, there's so many things that go into it, and it's just being able to have the conversation. Like, if people are open to if you're willing to acknowledge, yeah, something is going on and let's figure it out, I think things will change. I think the problem is nobody was acknowledging that race inequality was even a thing. I think that's like one of the big issue. Nobody was even acknowledging it. They're like, oh, what are you talking about? You know? So I think that's the big issue, is like when somebody hurt you, you want the person that hurt you to say, yes, I did, and I apologize, and like, let's figure it out. But the fact that nobody was even acknowledging it, I think, is what caused all the animosity and the anger and the hurt. Because people can't blame you for what your father or grandfather or your great grandfather does. But if you're not acknowledging it, or you're covering it up, is a different issue. You know, so I think it's just the acknowledgement part. And people think because they acknowledge the inequality or the truth, that it makes them guilty, like, so they get defensive. But you shouldn't have to get defensive for something that you didn't cause. Like, it happened many years ago, but it's affecting people now. The fact that you're not even acknowledging it is adding to the problem. So if you acknowledge it, then you'll find solution for it. But if you don't acknowledge it and, you know, sweep it under the rug, then that's what creates that pain and that hurt. Because then you're telling the person your opinion is invalid. Like, you know what I mean? So the fact that we can have that conversation and acknowledge something is going on and is a problem, I think that's like more than 50% of the solution, is acknowledging it, that it's happening, you know?
Right. And I agree with you. I believe, though, at the core, see, I always try to get to the root cause. So I can acknowledge an issue or a problem, right? I can do that. I'm very open-minded and clear-headed. But I want to get down to the why. Why is it like that, right? I can understand history. I get it. But, you know, we have a completely different set of rules now. So what is that carryover? Well, the common denominator I keep coming up with is economic mobility. That's the one I'm always coming back to, because I can't tell you. I happen to know three. My ex-wife is black. My child is half me and half my black ex-wife. I've seen racism up close. I know what it looks like. It's no fun. However, I also know a lot of people of many different colors that have a lot of money. And I have, matter of fact, one friend, black, wears a suit, and when he opens the door of his Rolls Royce and gets out, people don't go, oh, I'm scared. Here's a scary black angry man. No.
That's a stereotype, you know? That's just a narrative people have put out, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a media thing.
Right. Well, you know what? Let's all lift each other up. I don't care if you're green, black, orange, purple, brown, yellow. It doesn't matter. Let's lift each other up. Let's learn to be good investors and good stewards of the money that we have, whether it's $1 or $100,000. Learning to have an investor mindset that, you know what? If I want coffee, maybe it's a better idea to have to spend 50 cents and make coffee at my home than to spend $4 at Starbucks.
Right.
Maybe I don't need a cool car. Maybe I can have a bicycle and use the bus. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe if I do the math, maybe it is better to use Uber than to buy a car. Do you really need a car, or do you really need transportation?
Right.
Uber's
That's a big one.
You know what I mean? It's you get the same result with both things, but what costs you more?
Depends how far you're going.
Yeah. Or how often you're going there.
Well, that's true, but really think about it in the context of your life. If you did the math, because no, it doesn't matter how far you're going. If you need to go 100 miles and the wear and tear on a vehicle that you own costs you this, and Uber is this, if you've done the math, then it doesn't matter how far you got to go.
Right.
It's how much are you going to spend? That's the name of the game. How much are you going to spend? How much of what you make are you going to keep? How much of what you keep are you going to invest? That's the name of the game. We've got to stop thinking about you're dangerous and angry and black. And hey, have you thought about, instead of putting a gold chain around your neck or buying this or buying that, buy some Cardano and stake it. Build something tomorrow.
You know, the crazy part is, like, when I first came and I had a friend who was African American, and you know, they used to always, like, as soon as they, you know, he made money, he would buy certain things. And I always wondered, like, why did you do that? Like, why do you need to do that? And, like, it puzzled me because that's not the culture I grew up in. And I asked him one day, I said, like, why is it, like, every time you make this amount of money, like, you go buy this to show it off? Like, what's the need? But him explaining it to me and the culture he comes from and the neighborhood he comes from, it made sense from his world perspective. So, like you said, if we start educating and showing people what they can actually, you know, get now, and then in long term, like, what they will get out of it, that education part is huge. Because if I knew what I can do with my money 10 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, it's just the lack of education, lack of resources. Not, you don't know what you don't know. So, like, not knowing what to do with it is a big part. And I think social media right now is playing a big part, not just negative, but actually positive, because you're able to find YouTubers and influencers. You're able to learn from all these people that are doing different things. On Instagram, you know, people go on lives and teach how to do, you know, investments as far as stock market. They talk about the real estate and everything else. And I think it's also individuals are starting to do wonderful things that are educating the community, that are more positive than the main media, who's constantly feeding us negative, scary things to divide us. Versus, I think people are using Instagram and Facebook and YouTube for positive things, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Just like Jerry.
Right.
Well, like all
very,
of it.
very great.
You know, I'm one piece of the puzzle. Britta's a piece of the puzzle. BZ's a piece of the puzzle. Every single person in the chat that's contributing is a piece of the puzzle. You know, what I'm advocating is that, you know what, if you feel like you don't have an answer to this big problem, start small, right?
Right.
Let's get our minds right around money. Because here's the truth. Nobody owes any of us shit. That's the truth. Government don't owe us a goddamn living. You know what I mean? None of that. I'm a believer in the Constitution, but I'm not a believer in you know, I don't want to get political, because that isn't what this is about. I honestly believe that if each one of us was able to affect one other person in an economically positive way, and I don't mean giving somebody $5, I mean showing them a website where they can turn $5 into $6. You know what I mean?
Teach a man to fish.
Exactly. You don't give a brother a fish. You say, hey, this is how you make a fishing pole. These are the places where the fish are biting. Go put in the work. Go put in the work and bring your own fish home. That's the name of the game. We've forgotten that. We've gotten we've all been conditioned to be consumers, not investors. Well, okay, I can acknowledge that truth. But I say, why don't we change the trend? Why don't we all hold each other to a little higher standards? Let's all be better investors tomorrow. Let's all use these very simple tools to create a different tomorrow than we would have if we didn't. Simple, right? Are you with me, Bitta? You going to join the army? The investor army?
Oh yeah.
Easy, are you going to join the army?
Oh, I'm in the first row.
Not a kid. Right on. Okay, I cannot close the show, and we need to close the show. Time is getting to the end. So BZ, Britta, stay with me here. I'm going to put you in the green room because I want to chat with both of you real quick when we close it out. But it is time for me to bring in show producer extraordinaire Brady, because a show wouldn't be complete without last thoughts from Brady. Come on in, Brady.
Last thoughts. My last thoughts are J Parr caught my spelling mistake. I tried to sneak it in there. Whoops. Last thoughts. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one because hearing what I'm hearing is phenomenal information, but having conversations while the information is coming out is also phenomenal. But I can't exactly go back in time and have the conversation, so I'm gonna have to go back, rewatch this, because wow, there's a lot of not only good information, but just overall sound advice, period. Whether it's life advice or investment advice, or hey, maybe instead of getting annoyed at your friend today, think about the situation that happened from their perspective. Try and change your attitude towards something because you're thinking about it from someone else's point of view. Because, as I can't remember who was saying it, but someone in the chat was saying we're all just one race. And it's, people just are either annoying or they have bad days, or some people are bad neighbors. We're just all one human thing walking around. So anyway, I'm going on and on. It was a great stream. I need to rewatch it. That's my take.
Well, I'm totally with you, Brady. I mean, as far as race goes, I will go on record as saying there are two different kinds of people. There are men and there are women.
Oh, dang it, you're right.
Difference.
Yes.
Believe you me, I learned that lesson the hard way. Ladies, I give it up. I surrender. You're superior in every single way, except I'm able to lift heavier objects more easily. Other than that, I give you guys got it in every other department. With that being said, folks, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Please share this. And I don't necessarily mean ask somebody to watch this video. When I say share this, I'm talking about parents. Teach your teenagers and your young adult children and your little children. Teach them something about investing, because savings isn't working anymore. Inflation is killing savers. So saving money isn't good enough. You've got to put today's money before inflation eats it away and put it into an asset that is going to appreciate in value, not depreciate in value. With that being said, from Costa Rica, Pura Vida, Brady in New York, Ciao Bello, and the rest of the guests we've had on the show tonight, we look forward to seeing you next week right here on Market Conversations. Ciao.
Have a good night, everyone.